It's so good to be back at the movies. It's been about almost a month for me, and I know so many people will be like, "Oh, boo-hoo, let me play you a sad song, the world's smallest violin." But guys, if you know me, if you have seen how I am, it's very hard for me to social interact, and the movies have always been a second home for me. So the fact that I get to go back and watch a new release, not only to kick off the fall season, but just to get out, is just nice. And if this movie has shown me anything, is that I am hoping that this fall slash winter season delivers me some really good movies, because movies like these are truly the reason why I love cinema. I just do.
You know what freedom is? No fear. Just like Tom Cruise.
One Battle After Another is directed and written by Paul Thomas Anderson. The film stars Leonardo DiCaprio, Sean Penn, Benicio del Toro, Regina Hall, Teyana Taylor, and Chase Infiniti. According to IMDb's plot synopsis, when their evil enemy resurfaces after 16 years, a group of ex-revolutionaries reunite to rescue one of their own's daughter. Look no further than Paul Thomas Anderson to make a film that is both entertaining for audiences, but also effective with telling stories' complexity. The man has been making movies for 2 decades, and if you know how this guy is, he really can deliver something that can give audiences something that is still fun, but also really complex in how he goes about telling its story. With films like Boogie Nights, Punch Drunk Love, There Will Be Blood, The Master, and my favorite from 2021, Licorice Pizza, I was excited to see what he was making next. I'm still kind of a little bit new to Paul Thomas Anderson. I had seen The Masters, although I'll probably rewatch it just because it had been a while since I've seen it, and also too, I may have been acting a little bit differently because I wasn't super crazy about the movie. I didn't hate it, but I didn't think it was all that amazing. But again, probably a different perspective. And of course, again, Licorice Pizza, it was my favorite movie of 2021. I had a blast watching that film in the theater. It was great. Unlike his work, this was probably his first to tackle an action flick. Now, it is not balls to the walls action oriented, okay? It's not like the Taken series or any sort of John Wick movie. It has action moments, but it's not, I would say, a regular action movie, if you catch my drift. With a stat cast, I wanted to see what PTA was cooking with this film. I was curious to see what audiences would be in store for this guy, and yeah, when you have Leonardo DiCaprio leading your cast, followed by a lot of other great talented actors and actresses, you have something here to work with. By the end, I love this movie. I really had a fun time watching PTA deliver a thrilling and funny film that really addresses issues of today. And that is something that I know so many people don't want to hear, especially now with the climate in which politics has gotten in this country. But it's great knowing that there are filmmakers who have something to say, have something that's on their mind, and wish to speak it through film. And he delivered something that was thrilling, but really hilarious. Like, there are moments in this movie that the jokes just land, and even though you could say, like, why was that supposed to be funny, in terms of, like, how it's supposed to be presented and convey, it's okay to even laugh in those moments in some certain way. And I'm going to tell you guys, with no negatives with this movie, there was none. I couldn't find a single one that I hated or was bothered by. So let's just now hit all the positives. The performances are all excellent. The entire cast brings the tension and humor with one another, adding complexity to their characters. Everyone in this cast is just perfect. Everyone just hits the right ways at the right moments. Leonardo DiCaprio, he is both riveting to watch and hilarious to watch as this ex-revolutionary who is so burnt out after being part of the French 75th, which is the group that he was associated with and where he met his future wife. You see how washed up this guy is, and how much, while he loves his daughter very much and will go to great lengths, he is so unconventional in how he tries to go about it. And there's even a great running gag with him trying to recite a phrase through phone to his group, and he can't remember it. It's just funny watching him try to stumble and just gather himself together just to try to help get his daughter back in the funniest but also entertaining way. You just don't think a movie like this could even pull both of those things off, but yet somehow it manages to do that, and that's just really because of DiCaprio and Sean Penn in this movie. He is so good at being so disgusting and just really showcasing how much this is a character of today and how much there are so many problems and so many issues with him that is very alarming but also very funny too. But still, he was amazing in the film. He was terrifying when he needed to be, and he was also very hilarious in other parts. Really, he does bring everything together with what Anderson wanted him to be. Benicio del Toro, he's also hilarious in the movie and very confident and very wise. It's just him and his interactions with Leonardo DiCaprio in this movie that were really funny. There's a sequence that involves Bob trying to charge his phone and how that goes about. It was just hilarious to watch, and they just have a good rapport with one another. We also have Regina Hall. I do think that she's not utilized as much in the film, but I do think she is useful in the scenes that she's in. Could there have been more? Yeah, but I do think she ultimately does help the film out with regards to a certain part of the movie. Teyana Taylor, also fantastic. I think she does bring this sort of very dominant and very confident woman who is just stuck in a bad situation, and her interactions with DiCaprio and Penn, really good stuff. And Chasing Infiniti, newcomer, she's also amazing, does really well with both DiCaprio and Penn, has some really good moments, especially with DiCaprio in having that father-daughter relationship, but then you also have her and Sean Penn and their dynamic of this sort of power struggle, or at the very least, this sort of kidnapping situation that she finds herself in the middle of. They have a great standoff with one another, and it's amazing. The direction is phenomenal. Director PTA brings the suspense and energy that comes with a movie like this, showing audiences his confidence when tackling the subject. Paul Thomas Anderson is no stranger to handling a film the way he wants to handle it and how he wants to showcase it. This is a guy who has that passion, has that voice and love for films, and clearly is on full display here. This is really truly a film that showcases a filmmaker who had so much experience through his life, but also wanting to tackle something just different, like doing something that's a little bit unconventional for him, doing something that is considered a little bit more of action oriented compared to more of his dramatic or very thriller-esque films where it's mostly like people talking. Now this movie has that, but there's still added elements of thrilling sequences that does change it a bit, but I think he does very well in all the sequences, and the chemistry that he tries to bring out all the actors, it's fantastic, and he does really well with having tension building in a film. And that to me is, I think, the greatest strength of this movie is how much he is able to rise that tension, how to build it, and also just to have fun with it. The story is investing. Watching this ex-revolutionary dad trying to rescue his daughter was exciting and hilarious to see. Also, layering with relative topics that reflect our times. As of now, of course, you have a film that, yeah, straightforward. Dad tries to rescue his daughter. He was involved in some stuff back in the day with his wife and his job to protect her. But it is also a commentary about our country and also about border security and how much our government oversights that and overreaches that and exploits it. And you also have how men with authority and power dictate at their will and use it for their benefits and not the benefits of others, and using it to their strength to favor themselves, or at the very least recognizing the issues. They would rather do it for selfish reasons and very terrible reasons, and I think that is something that this movie does well at addressing in the form of Sean Penn's character and the journey he goes through and what happens with him. And you see that reflected in, of course, this revolutionary group and what they try to do. And then, of course, you have that simple story. And I think that is all reflective in a way where it all points back to just the message about how much our country has just overreached a lot of things and how it's affected so many people, and it even affects generations. And so for that, I think this movie is pretty strong at really conveying it, and also knew when to laugh at certain things. It's not picking sides or anything. It is just simply just showcasing how much is so ridiculous in today's day and age and how things are being shown and how they are being described in the media. The cinematography is stellar. Cinematographer Michael Ballman display a fluent and kinetic looking movie that puts audiences in the situation, leading to impressive shots. There are moments in this movie where cameras would be rigged doors or on the side of cars, showcasing when characters are driving and turning. I think that's really cool. There's some really beautiful open shots, especially in the desert, that really encompasses the vast, wild nature of things and also really tight close ups. All that is effective, and Michael Ballman does an amazing job of sticking to what the emotion and the look appeal that Anderson wants from him to convey, and he succeeds in that. The music is terrific. Composer Johnny Greenwood masterfully builds up tension and suspense when intense moments happen. Also, the licensed music fits into the moments that they are placed. The music in this movie, again, very different than most other action oriented films tend to do, and I think that works out very well because not only does it stand out on its own, but is able to be more identifiable. It's able to pretty much stand the way it wants to be. And yeah, the orchestral or piano scoring elements that are put into this movie, I think, are really effective and help build those suspense even further as the movie goes on. And yeah, the licensed music, yeah, you could say there's not a lot, but when they are there, it fits with what Anderson and the way the which the story goes, I think fits perfectly in what it needs to be. The writing is tight. Anderson crafts a script that's both funny but effective with conveying its complexity, making it feel woven together. There's never a point in this movie where it really truly feels like it was underutilized or disappointing. It all felt like it had meaning, it all had purpose, and also know when to, again, just have a laugh at it. Because I do think it is important to laugh, poke fun at things, especially in this day and age, on both sides of the way in which we see the world. And I think that's awesome to see a filmmaker like him know how to craft a story, but also really craft a script that really blends it all together, that doesn't feel like it was all smushed and barely fits. It all felt like it was just perfectly aligned and fit right in hand. The production is amazing. With having a bigger budget, they're able to pull off some sequences very well, along with the props, sets, costumes, and crew work. It's on full display. Sure, so many people can look at the budget and think that it's a little bit overinflated, and maybe, but I do think that every amount of money that was put into this movie is there. It never feels like or looks cheap. It looks like a lot of that money was used for good use and was able to get away with having this movie feel like it is massive on a theater level, but it still feels smaller scale in a way where it's a more personal story. But it's great having all these feel like is in sync and it never ever dips in quality in that way. The action is impressive, though not a lot, because of course it's not like, again, your standard action movie. The sequences that happen are well done and fun to see. Also, the car chases are really solid. There's a really good moment in the movie where it's just in the desert and cars are just driving up and over hills, and the way the camera goes about it, how it is all handled, and then the music building, that was some really intense stuff. And sure, yeah, so many people could say, well, what's so impressive about, cars going up a hill and all that stuff? When you watch the movie, you'll know it really is effective in that way. And sure, you could say, again, the supposed action sequences aren't anything special, but it's pretty cool knowing that a director like this is able to be as efficient with it, even if he's not like the most experienced action director, but he is efficient in having those sequences build up the suspense and build up the tension. And then, of course, when you have like some sorts of like shootouts, it is able to really convey what the movie wants to go for. The pacing runtime is seamless. Every scene feels like it's going and never stalled out. With a runtime of 2 hours and 41 minutes, it didn't feel that long. I know by the sound of that almost sounds like 3 hours, and it does. But I promise you that pacing does keep it going at a fast rate. There's never a moment where it just completely stops, tanks, and just completely slows down everything. Everything is going on, everything is moving along at a nice pace to where it never really fully just stopped dead in its tracks. It just knew that this is a film that wants to really explore and dive into these complex scenarios, and the story is so investing that you are able to like withstand and hold on to that runtime to where it doesn't really bother people. The editing is precise. Every cut feels right and also allows for scenes to not have any cuts to ruin moments. There's sequences or even areas where there are no cuts, or it makes it seem like it is all one take. But it is effective on how it does that, especially when there's even certain sections where is like zooming in on certain moments that are happening, and it's really good at showcasing the tension building and the suspense just growing even further. And there's never like a quick cut editing bullshit. It felt like it was naturally trying to showcase and build it up naturally rather than just having to have all the editing just splice it up in that process. PTA delivered on a movie that comments on today while also knowing how to have some good laughs. It's great that Anderson can not only have the effect on viewers, but makes them how he wants them to be, giving hope to more younger filmmakers to make their own these days. And that is something to take away, because in an age where you have a lot of filmmakers who are just kind of going along with what the studio system and the corporate system wants them to do, it's nice knowing that Paul Thomas Anderson, for how many years he's been directing, he can still showcase you can have a voice, you can have a purpose in what you want to do and what you want to say. All it takes is a lot of hard work, but dedication, love, and passion that you are able to convey what you want. And this movie was able to deliver me a film that was well worth long waited patience to see this movie. I'm telling you, I had to wait an entire month. And the fact that this was my first movie back for the fall season, I'm just happy. I'm glad Anderson was able to squeeze out something that was pretty much perfect for me and will easily be one of my favorites of the year. I'm going to give one battle after another a 10 out of 10. This movie is phenomenal. If you have a chance, if you want to see this movie, again, it won't be for everybody. If you are willing to stomach what it's trying to say and who it's poking fun at and how it goes about it, I think it is definitely worth it. But again, that is up to you. I hope you would enjoy it, but still, it's never going to please everybody. It is one of those movies where it's like either you are fine with how it does it or you are just going to be offended with what it tries to say. So it is up to you. All I am just saying is that if you want a good theater movie to go out and see, I definitely really recommend this movie, especially on the big screen. It looks amazing. It looks gorgeous. Especially when I saw it in the theater, it was fantastic. So I will be soon doing a review for this smashing machine. So yes, look forward to that review and other reviews coming soon.